So anyway, as she did for 3 weeks trying to invite me, I signed up. So I was the first batch of students in that studio. And after a month, she was running a TV program, Dance Upon a Time. And I'm sure you haven't heard of it. Kasi mga bata pa kayo noon 1996. That's what, 19 years ago. So I can just imagine you were kids pa lang, no? So after I graduated, she said, oh, you have to perform in my dance show because you're my first batch of graduate. So I said, okay. So I performed with a partner, of course. And every week she'd make me perform. Like, oh, ito yung graduate ko. Ito na yung estudyante ko. Kita mo, ang galing sumayaw. Of course, she believed in how I dance. She said, the first session pa lang of dancing, she said, you're very graceful. But of course, I couldn't tell her that since age 8 to 16, I took up ballet. So I was a ballet dancer. I took up jazz, I took up Hawaiian. So in short, I felt, even when I'm at a young age, I was really a dancer. And somehow, not bragging, I was always a star dancer. In school, I stood out. So high school, college, I was president of the dance club. And that's also jazz and ballet mixed together. And I was the choreographer for musical plays. And I was a cheerleader. I was always outstanding when it comes to dance. And then to top it also, I was also into the drama club. So I was into acting. Sometimes just one woman act or one woman show. But acting and dancing was really inherent in me. That's from high school till college. And then after that, I got married. So I thought that's goodbye to dancing. And for 11 years, I was a full-time housewife. I took care of 3 children. So ayan, I have 3 children. And of course, my 3 children are done with school. They're all working now. Natatawa ba kayo? So, in short, I started, so the accidental discovery of ballroom dancing was when I was in my mid-30s. So it started really late, the ballroom, and I didn't expect I'll dance again. I thought I'll never dance again, and that was okay because I was a devoted mother. I had 3 kids, hindi naman sunod-sunod, but actually I had 4, but I had, 1 passed away, so I felt like I was a full-time mom, and that was my entire focus. And when the dancing came, I got sidetracked also. By the way, just to also let you know, my husband died on my 4th kid. So a month after, no, almost a year after I had my child, he passed away. Then, in short, for the last 22 years, I'm a widow and I've been a single mom, raising my kids. So that's it. And married to a Japanese, I was once married to a Japanese. They really don't take part of raising the kids, probably because he's the older generation type of Japanese. So parang the taking care of the kids sa'yo yan. I work, I bring in the money, and you take care of your children. And of course, it's entirely different from our culture. And it was a culture shock, but I had to embrace it. And because I love taking care of my kids, so that was fine with me. Of course, in a way, may tampo rin ako na parang pwede naman sana kasama ka dito, but it's like, no, your job is to take care of the kids, and me, I'll bring in the money. So I felt like the child rearing was my entire responsibility. So when he passed away, it didn't change much. Kasi ako pa rin naman eh. Hindi ko naman naramdaman talaga na, oh, nawalan ako ng a better half that will also be a father to my children. But anyway, next, mabilis ba? Parang the pace of my life, because I'm trying to give you the history, how I entered into ballroom dancing. So next, when I started performing already for Becky Garcia, things went on so fast. Every week she'd make me perform, so I don't have the time to assess my life and say, do I really want this? So every week I find myself practicing with a partner to the point that after 2 months I was competing. And then in the Philippines, for the first year and a half, I would win in all competitions. So in short, parang, ayan na, that's it. I'm thrown into the world of ballroom dancing. And then she sent me to Korea. Like she won in the bidding to run an international dance sport competition in the Philippines. So she said, we have to go to Korea. She will bid so that the Philippines can host a dance sport competition. So my first competition was 1998, so 2 years after I learned ballroom. But of course, I fared zero, like no points. All the judges didn't give me any point. And that was quite a shock to me because I thought I was winning in the Philippines, so how come I couldn't even fare a single point in abroad? So I realized that I lacked the technique, international style, because what is my thrust for the dances? I'm into Latin dancing, just to let you know. And for international dance sport, we are always judged according to 5 dances. 5 dances is cha-cha, samba, rumba, paso doble, jive. So when you compete, 5 sayaw yon. Overall, 5 dances ang scoring mo. Like maybe if you do well in paso doble, but you're not doing so well in rumba, then maybe your scores can vary and you can dip lower regarding scores. But in short, you're judged according to 5 dances. And of course, my routine, my technique, and everything fell short of the international standard. And so, in a way, one of the challenges was pabaliktad. I had to learn the basics again, because how did I dance, or what was my choreography about? You know, we would just copy in the videos. Like, we would look at the champions in the videos, nangongopya lang kami. You know, and then we try to do the same stuff. We change it a bit, but then again, we don't really know better. But my partner and I did it that way. That's why eventually, when I started learning the right technique, timing, what judges look for in the competition, I realized I'm so short of it. So that was a challenge. But then that didn't stop me from competing. Almost every month, I would compete. Hong Kong, Japan, Taiwan, Singapore, you know, most countries in Asia. Because in dance sport also, it's in a way politicking. Like, you have to show yourself, you have to show that you're a couple always competing and the judges get to know you. And of course, they also judge according to seniority. Like if you've been dancing for a long time, then they assume you're just getting better and better. And if you keep on changing partners, that means like, oh, you're starting again from scratch. So in a way, whether you like your partner, whether you're solid with your partnership, you try to hang on to one another. But I'll talk about that later on. So the challenge was the lack of training in the beginning. Like, there was really no teacher here that would teach international style, plus teach you on how to be a better competitor, or how to groom you to compete. So what we did was, one time, when I was competing in Singapore, there was a British judge that approached me and said that, you know, if you only go to Australia, because she's based in Australia, and given 2 weeks of training, Edna, I can transform you because I see your potential. And so I thought about it well. I said, yes, maybe that's really worth the first step to being good in dancing. So my partner and I went to Australia, stayed for 2 weeks, and just focused the whole day, day in, day out, morning till night, you know, just you keep your mind focused on that to improve. And sure enough, after 2 months, Becky Garcia already ran the first international competition here, and there were a lot of international competitors. And true enough, when I danced, like on the Philippine side, they were all surprised, like I got a lot better than before. And I'm up to international standard, up to par with them. But of course, I didn't make it to top 3 because there were Australians, there were British, Japanese, so talagang magagaling sila. But because they've been doing it for years now, and I was on my 2nd year, but actually for formal training, I was 2 months formally trained. But I saw also my potential. So in short, I fared a lot better, so that was the first step. So in a way, what the process was generally for my style until I reached the top was, I would join competitions, I would learn a lot from it, and then I'd go back to the Philippines, assess my performance, and then train again. Like, practice your basic, clean up your act. So parang in a way, pabaliktad. Not like some dancers like in Europe, when I asked them like, when did you start competing? And they'd say, oh, we would train basic lang lahat, basic steps, 5 years until we start to compete. For my side naman, pabaliktad. I would compete, assess my performance, then back to basic, back to training. And of course, every time I traveled, every time I competed, I always would learn something new. You gain the experience. You cannot
you cannot not learn from it. Like every time you travel, you learn a lot from it. You see other competitors, you learn from them, the way they move, the way they dress, the fashion for competition. I mean, everything, especially the foreigners like the Europeans. I mean, even to this day, it's really the Europeans that win in the dance sport competitions. And second is China. But again, we'll just talk later about it. So, in short, that's what I did almost every month. While I was raising kids, while I was practicing, I mean, that was all what I did. Like, it was not an easy act. Like, I had 3 children, I was a single parent, and I was out all day also practicing, teaching, and then going home, trying to balance, teach them homework. And that was my life. Like, I didn't have any social life. I didn't even watch TV. Even up to this day, like, I don't watch TV